What's up? I've got another Messenger Minutes video for you guys today. So, yeah, I'm going to try and do these on Mondays, try and get more consistent with them. I think I'm going to post this one to my YouTube channel. I do have a YouTube channel, and it has a singular subscriber. I have no idea who it is. I didn't even look. But my issue is I posted like 4 videos maybe a year ago, and then never posted anything after that. So I think I'm going to go in, probably delete some videos, and maybe put on all of my Messenger Minutes videos, but we'll see. I'm definitely going to put like the last 2 on here because I think those are really good. So yeah, it was Easter weekend this past weekend. A little different for most of us because of our good friend coronavirus, which is ravaging the globe, so that's a party. It's different for a lot of reasons for me. Like, this is the first time that I've been so far from my family, and so, no big Easter dinner, no egg bake feed. If you don't know what egg bake is, hit me up. I'm gonna change your life. It's like casserole, or as us Minnesotans call it, hot dish. But it's all breakfast foods, and it's really wonderful. And we used to have an egg bake feed at my church where people would just bring hella egg bakes, and you could just eat them all, and it was fantastic. So this Easter was a lot different for me than it usually is, but I did end up watching a church service, and it was a sermon by Pastor Mike Todd at Transformation Church, and I'm going to put the link underneath so y'all can take a look at it. It was really, really good, and it really got to me. There were 2 things in particular that I thought were really good about it, so I'm going to share those quickly with you. The first one was the topic of the sermon and the title in general, which is the middle. And the way that he kind of framed it was, we have our reality, and then we have the resurrection. So the resurrection, on the 3rd day, Jesus rose, which is what we focus on when it comes to Easter. And I think, even though obviously that's the joy that we have, is that Jesus did raise from the dead, I think there's equal value in the rest of those days. And there has to be something that we do in that middle part. Because we tend to have little sections like that in our lives where we identify an issue, identify a problem, because that's our reality, and then we have to try and get over here. But what do we do when we're stuck in the middle? And that really got to me because as an artist, that's kind of where I feel. I feel like probably for the last 5 years of my life, maybe, I've kind of been in the middle, where I started out feeling like, oh, I've got this, like I kind of know what's going on with this whole Christian thing. And then I just kind of got to a point where I didn't feel like I knew what was going on anymore. I didn't feel like I knew God. I didn't feel like maybe God was as good as I originally thought. And I'm still in that area of like a lot of doubt and fear and misunderstanding, and mistrust of God. And I haven't gotten out of it yet. I'm still in there. I'm still fighting for my faith. I haven't let it go, but I'm still not at the place where I can throw up my hands and trust God and say God is good every morning when I wake up. A lot of the time in the morning when I wake up, I just feel kind of like depressed and like, another day, like, how am I going to get through this one? And I know that sounds kind of like a downer, but that's my reality, and that's where I'm at, and I haven't gotten to that resurrection yet. So something that I struggle with as an artist is, if I'm telling everyone this supposed good news, but I don't look like someone who's received good news, then how do I give them this news? How do I keep making my music? And so I make my music as authentic as I can. And I'm working on an album right now. I'm just going to share with you guys what my vision would be for my music if I continue in it. And that is that I would have a 3-album series where I have one called Broken, and that's where you start out, and that would be kind of the reality portion. And then in the middle would be one called Struggle, which is where you're fighting against all these things that you identified back here that are breaking you. And then Victory, which would be the resurrection part. And I want a 3-part album series where it kind of goes through that journey, and I feel like I'm in between Broken and Struggle. And so in my music, I'm just as authentic as I can be, and I'm going to be honest. The first album that I'm going to do is going to be a downer because it's going to be completely honest. It's going to be, this is my reality. This is what I'm dealing with. These are what my problems are. And everyone has them, but it's a lot easier to share our testimonies when we feel like we've gotten here. It's harder to share our testimonies when we feel like we're still here or here. So I've been inspired as an artist to be willing to make those songs that are maybe a downer and speak to our reality and speak to our struggle in the middle. But sometimes I still feel like I'm not entirely qualified to rap about the gospel when I don't feel like I'm there yet. And so it was really encouraging to see him be open, to see Mike Todd, who's preaching the sermon, be honest and open about the things that he was struggling with and things he was dealing with in his own life, that he had to come and stand on that stage and tell people God is good every Sunday, but he still has to deal with those problems in his own life when he goes home. So that was the first thing that really stood out to me. The second thing that stood out to me was in the very beginning of the sermon, he mentioned worry. And I think that was what grabbed my attention immediately because I deal with so much worry. And he was talking about how worry about the future, worry about what's going to happen with this whole coronavirus thing and other stuff in general, how that kind of steals our joy from blessings that we have right now. And that's not to diminish the fact that it is a scary time or whatever it is that you may be dealing with. That's just to say that if we're worrying about something in the future that's going to happen, then the blessings that we do have right now pale in comparison because of how focused we are on that issue. So I'm going to read something to you guys quick. It's from that book, Jesus Calling, that I told you guys about. It goes by the days of the year. So this one is from April 11th, but I'm going to read it because I think it's really applicable to what I've been talking about. So, this is the day that I have made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Begin the day with open hands of faith, ready to receive all that I am pouring into this brief portion of your life. Be careful not to complain about anything, even the weather, since I am the author of your circumstances. The best way to handle unwanted situations is to thank me for them. This act of faith frees you from resentment and frees me to work my ways into the situation so that good emerges from it. To find joy in this day, you must live within its boundaries. I knew what I was doing when I divided time into 24-hour segments. I understand human frailty and know that you can bear the weight of only one day at a time. Do not worry about tomorrow or get stuck in the past. There is abundant life in my presence today. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. And that is Psalm 118, verse 24. So that's really big for me because the way my brain works is I go by problems, which is an issue. So I divide my year or my week or my month up into problems or events that are going to happen. So instead of just sticking in this one day, I worry about in the future when I know I'm going to have to leave this place that I am or when I'm going to have to sacrifice this thing. And so I worry up until that point. So even if an issue is like even months in the future, I worry up to that point and what's going to happen all in between there instead of just focusing on the joys that I do have in this one day. And so I want to encourage you guys to, well, not to do that, obviously. And when you start to worry about the future, I would encourage you to bring your mind back to today. What's happening today? How can I make today the best day that I can? How can I give this day to God? How can I live for God today? Or what, if there are problems today, how can I solve the issues of today? Because when we extend our problems out that far into the future, it just makes us miserable because we're trying to deal with problems that haven't even happened yet and may not even happen. And so that's another part of my middle where I'm at right now is I haven't gotten past that yet. I'm still working through it. So thanks for watching, everyone who watched. Yeah. Check out another Messenger Minutes video coming at you next Monday.